everyone. Happy Thursday. Welcome to So What, the Marketing Analytics and Insights live show. I am Katie, joined by Chris and John. Howdy, fellas.
Hey,
Hello.
That was very synchronized. I appreciate it. It's almost like you practiced.
ready for the Olympics.
There you go.
Uh, on this week's episode, we're covering social scheduling tools. We're doing a social scheduling tools bake-off. This came about because Trust Insights turned 5 last March. And since then, with the exception of like project management tools, we really haven't evaluated the stack that we're using. And so much has changed over the past 5 years that we felt like it was really good time to see what's out there. We haven't evaluated social scheduling tools uh, literally in 5 years. So that's what we're doing today. And so we're going to cover how to create user stories, using those user stories to evaluate these social scheduling tools and determining which social scheduling tools are right for you. And I'm going to start stuttering over social scheduling tools. It reminds me of when I was in the first grade and I had a retainer and I had one line in the Christmas play. And it was, "It's St. Nicholas, the same as Santa Claus." Brutal. Anywho, Chris, where do you want to start?
Well, first we should start with, since we're acknowledging that, we should probably also acknowledge that it's your birthday today.
All right, special birthday background.
Special
Oh,
birthday
thank you.
background.
It's actually quite nice. Thank you for that.
So I would say in terms of social scheduling, yeah, the hardest part of choosing any software is the requirements gathering, because even for a company as small as ours, we're going to have different requirements based on who's using it and what they're using it for. You might care more about things like reporting. I might care more about data load and things like that. John might care about being able to generate content on the fly that is, that you can slot into schedules and make sure you're not conflicting. So I would say that's probably where we should start.
Well, and it's a great opportunity, and it matches the background to talk about user stories. And, we were talking with, we were on a call earlier, Chris, and we were talking with someone who was evaluating a set of tools. And you astutely said, the problem is that a lot of people choose the tool first and then try to fit it in versus figuring out what their requirements are and then choosing a tool. And you couldn't be more right about that, because you see it all the time. You try to retrofit your processes into an existing tool. And I think a lot of times we choose tools that have a big name or that everybody else is using because we also want to be using it, but it may not be the right tool for the job. So we definitely, we recommend starting with user stories. So, John, in terms of a social scheduling tool, I know you're not a power user. So what would your user story be in terms of using a social scheduling tool?
Yeah, for initial starting out, as the content manager, I want to be able to upload files so I can do batch loads. That's the biggest headache for anybody just starting out, is like getting a bunch of posts up in one shot as opposed to having to live in cut and paste hell. That's the first and easy one. And yeah, I don't know, you'd think that would be a slam dunk across the board, but I'm sure, as we're going to see today with all these tools, like just something as simple as that. And then another one is a kill switch too, to be able to stop stuff, which is also not like you'd think there'd be a big, huge red button on all these tools, but there's not. So yeah, I'm interested to see who's improved, who's actually lost ground. It's going to be interesting today.
It is. So Katie, you went through the bloody and painful process of setting up these accounts. So before we even talk about the requirements and things, just figuring out how to get underway, talk about what you experienced in just turning these things on.
Yeah, so we definitely took the most least technical person on the team to have them set up. But I feel like I'm a good representation of every marketer. And so what I wanted to do was get a free trial. And so if we start with Sprout was easy to set up in terms of getting a free trial. So, they get high marks for that. Once I got into the system, I got overwhelmed by the interface and I didn't really dig into it. So that's sort of what we're going to do today. But in terms of setting up for a free trial, That one was straightforward. It didn't require a credit card. Buffer was also easy to set up. I was able to put in my username, password, and it was able to set up a free trial. Both Sprout and Buffer allowed me to immediately connect some of my social profiles as well during the free trial. So like I can test out, what's going on with it. Agorapulse, we already had an account. That's the system that we're currently using. So there was nothing to set up there. Hootsuite, they required a credit card. And so that for me as a user, that gave me pause. If we weren't doing the bake-off that we're doing today, I probably would have stopped there because other tools don't require a credit card in order for you to do a free trial. And then the last one that I set up was Sprinkler. Now, Sprinkler didn't require a credit card, but Sprinkler to me as an end user was confusing because they have about a half a dozen products, and it wasn't clear to me which one I should be starting the free trial for. So they have social, they have insights, they have service, and the descriptions of each of these were kind of similar. So I wasn't really sure which one I should be signing up for. But then it also made me think, well, if I don't sign up for the insights one, can I not get data out of the social product if I sign up for that? And so as an end user, sort of putting on my I'm new to all of this hat, it was a little confusing. The other thing was Sprinkler, it took a few hours for the verification of the account and the email to come through. So at that point, I'd moved on to other things and I had requested the verification email 3 times. And so I don't know if that was just a glitch in the system or something, but that was frustrating to me as an end user.
Okay. Now, what are the user stories that you would be looking for, Katie, when you're trying to figure out what you want out of these tools?
So the first user story is, as a overworked marketing manager, I want to easily set up a system so that I can save time. And so one of the things I'm looking for is, John, to your point about the bulk uploads, if figuring out the system and taking more time to upload and approve content, if that takes longer to do it through a system like this than it does for me to manually do it, then I'm not going to use the system. And I know that some of the systems, without calling out any of them, have changed the way that their bulk upload and scheduling system works. And it's a pain in the butt and it takes too long. And, it's, for me, that isn't saving me any time. So why am I giving them money?
So for folks who are unfamiliar, one of the things that you should be able to do with these systems is take something like a spreadsheet. So this is a spreadsheet we have of existing posts and URLs. Let me go ahead and share my screen here. And we have the sort of the post, which is the text, and then we have the URL. And so this, to what John was saying, if you want to stand something up very quickly, this would be the content we'd want to load. Where this comes from for us is from systems that we built. So we're not the typical user in the sense that your average marketing partner is probably not going to have a lot of the backend technology to generate these files very quickly. But you could do things like export the posts from your blog feed, for example. You could do things like collaboratively work on a Google Doc with your team and have your team as a whole contribute interesting articles that they found that we can put it into a spreadsheet like this.
Well, and I remember when we were managing social, when we worked at the agency, we would have a series of URLs of articles and blog posts. Our job was to create, social posts for each individual channel around those, and then bulk upload that spreadsheet into the various systems so that everything was scheduled out ahead of time. And so what also needs to exist, if you have a larger team, is an approval process. And so somebody can upload all of the content into the system and then assign it to someone else to say yes, no, yes, no. That to me isn't super intuitive in a lot of the systems that I looked at.
Yep. And if you want to get fancy, which we sometimes do, you may also want to use AI services to help create some of this content. So here's an example. This is promoting our Google Analytics 4 course, which you can find at trustinsights.ai/GA4 course. I'm creating these 20 posts. These would all be Twitter posts, for example, and we can then take these, copy them into a spreadsheet, and then be ready to share them on social services. So there's any number of ways to get these bulk files that you would then be loading into a social media marketing system. Okay, so we have upload, we have a kill switch. What else might we want to be able to do with these systems?
We want to look at the data. We are an analytics company. If we didn't want to look at the analytics coming out of the system, then why are we specifically using it? And so I would want to, right now I collect monthly metrics from various systems. If I have, total number of followers or growth or engagement or comments and all of that stuff in one place for all of my different social channels, that to me is a huge win, because right now I don't have that. Some of these systems have limitations in terms of the social channels that they support. Not every social scheduling tool offers YouTube or TikTok or, things that you would imagine at this point are standard.
Yep. And the other thing I think I would add, and this is for anyone generally, is the interface should be well enough designed that you don't have to go through a lengthy onboarding system, right? It's kind of like, you can hand an iPad to a 4-year-old and they're pretty much going to know what to do. They may not know the intricacies of a specific app, but it's pretty clear with just the way the interface is shaped that what to do. So I think part of the evaluation would be just general ease of use. And we're going to test that today by completely ignoring all of the manuals and just wing it. So
I love it.
So we have 4 things: ease of use, bulk upload, kill switch, and reporting. Reporting and data export. Let's go through and just very obviously, let's look for the kill switches first to see, because that's an easy one. So we'll start with Sprout. I'm going to guess we're going to go to publishing, because that's where you'd publish stuff.
I'm going to share your screen in here.
Oh, yes.
As well.
There
we go.
So this is good. It's already picking up our existing content, which would be important. And there's an ad in the way here. Notifications, team conversations, shared links, connect to profile. So I just here in Sprout Queue, I don't see anything. There's a manage queue settings. There's a pause all. So they do have a pause all button. So Sprout, is anyone keeping score?
I can keep score in my head.
Okay, so Sprout gets a point for a pause all button. We like that.
Right. I'm actually going to keep score on I'm going to keep manual score.
There we go.
All right.
So we like that. We like pause all, and that was relatively easy to find. Went to publishing, went to queue settings, and there we go. All right, buffer. Let's see. We are in publishing. Let's close that. Those campaigns do. Nope, that's not it. Calendar. There's no. That's posting schedule. Okay, so there's a pause button for that in this channel. So there's no pause all, as far as I can tell. There is just one per queue. So if Sprout gets a point buffer in this case, there is no emergency stop button.
Okay.
Let's go to Agora Pulse. Agora Pulse, close this. All right, let's go to our publishing. No, that's for creating posts. Let's go to maybe
the calendar, I think.
No. That's our existing content, but there's no queue controls. Oh, there's queues. I was buried pretty deep down. Okay, so there are pause buttons on the individual queues. but there is no global panic button. So that's a no there. Let's go to Hootsuite. Let's see what we got. Planner, I'm guessing. Social accounts. There's a recommended time. That's settings. No. Social accounts. No. Post status. Let's see. So this is, I could delete the stream.
Which is not helpful. And I think that a lot of what I've seen is a lot of times the only option is to delete it, but not pause it and then resume it. Which means you have to do it all over again.
That's the inspiration. So I don't see it. I don't even see a pause button here, which is kind of concerning. I mean,
which isn't to say it doesn't exist, but the activity we're doing here is, how quickly can we find it without having to go through multiple.
Right. Okay. Well, okay. So we can't find the pause button at all, just a delete button. Okay. Let's go into Sprinklr. Let's see. We have reports, CRM, insights, tasks, publishing. Oh, goodness. Assets, campaigns, outbound posts. I don't see one in here either. Like, this is a sent post.
So what? Yeah. And can you go to what? Create, I guess? Like, I don't know. This is, and it gets confusing.
Yeah, so that's the inbox.
Yeah.
But
publishing.
Here, outbound posts, draft posts, published posts, scheduled posts. So there's approvals and things.
Right.
But there's not. Yeah, there's not there's not an obvious button that says stop. Okay. So kill switch.
So Sprout wins that round, and they are the only ones who win that round.
Exactly. And Hootsuite and Sprinklr get a -1 because I can't even find a pause button for the queue. It's like, okay, what do I do? The world is on fire. Needs some help. Okay, so let's do. What do you want to do next? Do you want to do reporting or bulk upload?
Let's do bulk upload, because that would be sort of without bulk upload, there's no reporting.
Right. Okay, so let's see. How do we do bulk upload here? Let's go back to our publishing. And okay, so you can post by RSS, which means you can connect like a blog feed to this. Is there a import? Twitter feeds, RSS reader. That's not it. No, I'm not looking for I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for, I want to do a bunch of stuff at one time. Find content. So that's content viewing ideas. Add to your queue. Nope, that's still where we just were.
And I feel like this kind of covers ease of use as well.
Oh, definitely.
Because we're struggling with all of these systems. And again, acknowledging we have not gone through any of the training material. We are just diving right in to see if we can figure it out. And, that's how typical users use a lot of software systems. Like, we can go through demos and, trainings and those kinds of things, but most people don't have time for that. They buy the system, or the system is bestowed upon them and someone says, figure it out.
Mm-hmm. And that is most common in an agency setting, where you will get someone who they'll acquire the system, then hand it off to the staff, and they'll get the 30-minute canned lesson and or some downloads of handbooks, and then that's it.
Right.
Okay, so I can't easily find a bulk upload in here.
Okay, so Sprout does not get a point for that.
Yep. All right.
Again, that's not to say that these features don't exist in these systems. It's just that we are not within the short amount of time able to figure it out.
Right. So let's see. We have a queue. I don't really care about Mastodon right now. Let's see. Approvals. There is my queue times.
Oh, there's
That's
your
what-
pause queue.
Yeah, we found it for the individual queues, but not for the thing overall
Right.
in Buffer.
Gotcha.
So Buffer has an empty queue button to dump it or to clean up stuff, which is good. But I don't see a way to import a file here. And I want to say that I think that existed in Buffer once upon a time. And I believe when they redid their queues a few years ago, I believe they removed that functionality. In fact, I know they did because there are third-party services that offer that as an add-on that you can integrate with Buffer.
Okay. So they don't get a point for that.
That's correct. All right, Agora Pulse. Agora Pulse clearly says bulk import queued posts. So I'd say that was at least easy to find. Where is...
So just for fun, it's the bottom two. So
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's do a bulk import. And let's pick our queue here.
Uh-huh.
Next.
So
And we have content link label.
Mhm.
All right, so let's take our content and we'll use this one here. Let's hit next. All drafts. And now go. Your drafts are being imported.
Now, here's where I want to chime in. Now,
I
this
should
is
just hit save changes. I'm done, right?
nope. So this is the functionality that has changed. And so Agora Pulse, up until about 6-ish months ago, you could upload your content just like this. And then you could either approve the posts one by one or approve all of them all at once, assuming that you'd done it previously in the CSV file. Now you have to go through one post at a time. First, you have to click Save Changes. Then at the top of the screen, you have to click Next Post. And you have to do this for every single post on every single feed.
That's not a bulk upload then.
So that, to me, is not time savings. That, to me, is not intuitive and a pain in the butt.
Yeah. Okay, let's...
So what the idea with that is they're presuming the import's not going to go well and that you're going to have to, you got to eyeball them all.
Right. That you're going to have to edit everything. And that's just, at least in our case, is not true. Ours is pretty stock standard. Like, we don't do a lot of customization on our social media. That's sort of a, good news, bad news. In this case, it's a pain because if you upload a larger file, which we had previously done, 60 posts at a time, you then have to go through and approve 60 individual posts per social channel.
Well, okay. So that's not helpful. But at least we found at least it technically exists.
So do they get a point for that?
Give them half a point.
Okay. All right.
All right, Hootsuite. Let's go ahead into Hootsuite. And we have I'm not sure where I should do this. Should I try it in the planner? Let's see if we can do it in the planner here. So we have new post. Yeah, go away. Okay, this is individual posts, so that's not helpful. That's text only. Refresh stream. I don't see one in streams. Let's try. There's nothing in inspiration. This is back to the composer. Let's try planner.
That's usually the...
Yeah. Social accounts, content. We've kept everything the same. That's great. Bulk message upload. All right. We have... We can choose a CSV file. It looks like we have to have date format, message, and URL. So I don't have one that's formatted for this.
Hmm. But
let's
at
try
least
it.
it tells you.
Yeah. Let's try importing one anyway and see how badly this could go wrong.
Well, and it says try the new one too. So are they beta-ing the other thing?
Let's see.
Yeah, beta. Okay.
Try it now. So select a file. Select a social account. Review posts. Okay, so there's no scheduled start dates. Your posts are ready to review. Select all. Okay, obviously I can't schedule because there's a bunch of errors, but it looks like that would do what we wanted to do, which is here's the file, make these go.
Okay, so they get a point.
So they get a point.
Okay.
Leave bulk composer. Okay. Let's go into Sprinkler. Let's see. Draft posts. Tasks, inbox, publishing. I'm in the right spot.
The other thing I'll note just about ease of use for Sprinkler, there's 2 home buttons. And I think they go to the same place, and I found that confusing. So that's home, and above it is home.
Okay.
And as a user, I was very confused by that.
Let's see. There are no scheduled posts. Okay, that's cool. Those are approvals. There's create a post. Is there anything in settings for uploads? Global governance. Holy crap. I don't publish a settings. Hey, look, they have a pause all posts button.
Ah. So do they get a point?
They get a point for having the feature. We will probably ding them on easy use, though.
All right. You know what? I'll take away their -1.
There you go.
And again, this is when I set up the free trial for Sprinkler, this is assuming that I chose the correct product. Because there's Sprinkler Social and there's Sprinkler Service. And it wasn't completely clear to me which one I should be picking.
Right. I still can't find a bulk upload button in here. Now, I'm sure that, like you said, a product that has this much stuff in it has got to have it somewhere.
Right.
It's just not obvious where that might be.
What happens if you click the add button in the top right?
Add post.
Oh,
and we're back here.
Yeah. That's not helpful.
Okay. So that would be bulk uploads. We've covered bulk upload with Kill Switch. The last is going to be reporting. So let's see what we got for reports. Let's go back to Sprout. And post performance, profile performance, inbox activity, strategy and insights, measure the level of engagement of your users. So you added which to Twitter and LinkedIn?
Correct. I did Twitter and LinkedIn consistently across each platform.
Okay. Let's try Twitter profiles and see just what it has to say about our Twitter profile. So these are sample analytics. I want to toggle off to see your data. Yes, that's what I want to see, my data. Let's see. We have 5,700 impressions, 125 engagements, 13 link clicks, 2.2% engagement rate. Data is not available for that yet. Publishing behavior, publishing videos, stuff. Our top posts. Okay, that's pretty decent. And a CSV file. I would say, at least for the basics, they've got all the goods there.
Okay, so they got a point.
Yeah, let's just take a real quick look at the CSV file. See what's in it. Yeah, so you got your dates, you got your engagements. Yeah, this looks pretty good.
So that's data that you could do something with if you had a specific question you were trying to answer, which is good.
Exactly. Yeah. Like if I wanted to run a regression analysis and figure out, what causes engagement rate, I could do that with this data. It's in good condition. All right, Buffer. Let's go to analytics. Good afternoon. Let's look at Twitter. So overview. May 1st to May 10th. Hang on here. Let's look at let's do apples to apples. May 1st through May 10th. There we go. 2,700 impressions in Sprinkler. 2,800 impressions in Buffer. 42 tweets. 2.8% engagement rate. So metrics per 1,000 followers. That's okay. That's not super helpful, but okay. I think that's probably a little less detailed. We got our export button.
Well, and I think too, this sort of speaks to, doing your requirements ahead of time, knowing what kind of data. You may not know all of it, but at least having a good sense of what kind of information you're going to need to be able to make decisions on, because the system you choose may not have it available.
Yeah. Now, this is interesting. Okay, so there's our content.
Okay.
So Buffer dumps everything out. Whereas,
But in different files.
In a series of different files. And there isn't sort of a one-stop shopping picture like Sprout does.
Okay.
So you can still use this data, you just have to manipulate it more.
Which, depending on how savvy your analytics team, could make or break your decision.
Right, yeah, that could be problematic depending on your team, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's look next at...
So wait, does Buffer gets a point for that?
Buffer gets a point because they have it there. They have this, replace export CSV. To me, that is always the important thing. Let's go into Agora Pulse. Let's go into reports. Am I on reporting? I think I'm still in social profiles.
Yeah.
Let's see. Here we are. Okay, reports. Let's look at Twitter. Let's look at month to date. So May 1st through 10th. So we have 1,800 followers, 71 engagements, audience net growth, 0.5% increase, engagement, 71 interactions. We have user activity. Users are most active at that time. No data available for these things. So that's pretty comprehensive. Let's go ahead and hit export here. That's nice. We actually get a lot of different choices. We can choose global or individual content stuff. And it says, we will email you when your report is ready. Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, I'd say for this, I'd give it marks. Full marks.
Okay.
So let's look at the content global because that's 42 tweets. Yep. Yeah. Twitter engagement. So yeah, this is what the other. It's interesting that they show sort of a profile view and then the content view, and like Buffer defaults just to content view immediately. Okay. There's our best time to publish. Cool. All right. Let's move on to Hootsuite. So Hootsuite, we have analytics. And I want to look at, I guess, all reports. Oh dear. I have to make my own report.
Oh.
Well, here we go. General post performance. That's post performance.
So you have a few different kinds of reports, but not like one dashboard of reports like the other tools have.
Right. Like, how am I doing? So performance by network. Here we are. Twitter overview. So create report, Twitter audience, Twitter engagement. So let's create a Twitter overview. So 8 followers. Let's make sure we're doing apples to apples on the report period. So 1,800 followers, 3 mentions, followers by hour, post engagement rate. They're coming up with different engagement rates.
Well, and this is one of the things, we don't know how these systems are defining each of these metrics, which is something
Right.
we talk about a lot with our clients of we need to understand the definition of the metric in order to say for certain what it is. And every system is going to do it a little bit differently.
Right. Exactly. So, okay, let's do an export. I have to upgrade to the business plan to get CSV exports.
Huh.
The
That's
paywall.
annoying.
There we go.
Hit the first paywall. I'm like,
Well, and this is the only system that required a credit card in order to do the free trial.
right. So I'm going to give them half a point on this one. The analytics is there, but the paywall for something as simple as a CSV report is a no-fly.
Okay.
Just for comparison purposes, and maybe this is something we can add in later. I pulled our actual Twitter account data from Twitter for the. Let's take a look here. We want from May 1 to May 10th. Yep. May 1. Let's take a look at this period here. So 2.4% is what Twitter is saying is the official rate from the tool itself. So this one
So
says
these
2.8.
systems, they could either be inflated or underrepresented.
Right. So that one's 2.8%. This one doesn't have a percentage on here. See a percentage on that one either. This one says 3.28. All right, let's go into Sprinkler. Sprinkler has reports. Let's do Twitter performance. And we want to do for a custom range of March 1st through 10th. No, May 1st through 10th. May 1st through 10th. Okay.
You know what? This might actually be my fault. I think because it took me so long to get the email verification and I had moved on, I didn't actually connect our social accounts. So that I think might actually be my fault.
It's picking stuff up.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's at least sees something. But okay, so there's not a whole lot there. There is no CSV export, so that's
But you can to Excel, which for some people is the same thing.
right, and it's not paywalled, so there's that, I suppose.
So
Okay,
they get a point.
yeah, give them a point, and
Okay.
then for ease of use, I didn't time us going through all this. What do you think? John, you've been watching. Which one would which ones have you said we're struggling the least and the most with?
Yeah, that's tough. You know, Agorapulse is obviously smooth, but then that is biased because we've played around with that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see any clear winners as far as like, oh yeah, this experience was way better than the other ones. I'd be just 1 point across the board for everybody. There's nobody that screams again, you know, easy walkthrough. How about Katie? When you fired them up, did any of them walk you through a wizard that was like, hey, here's how you set this stuff up right? No.
No,
That surprises me.
not immediately. But you can see at the bottom, like on Sprout, they have a wizard that had we taken the time to do it, we could start to go through. So that ad at the bottom, Chris, you could do the let's go. And then there was, I think in Hootsuite was the same thing. So again, I hadn't gone through those. And, you know, admittedly, like, I feel like a lot of people would just skip those and be like, I just need to get the thing done.
Yeah, to go. We had a question too from David asking about tagging people in posts versus companies. And, you know, from what I've seen across the board on that, a lot of that is specific networks have their rules in place about that. You have to have that, you know, straight at your account level, whether you're allowed to call stuff out. And then actually, now I think about that too, the users actually have that in their own privacy settings too. They can turn that off for themselves and not be called out. So that one's kind of all over the place as far as I know.
Yeah, I believe that is correct. In terms of accuracy for which, and we didn't, this was not one of our requirements, but in terms of whose engagement numbers are actually closest. So 2.8. So the number to hit here is 2.4. So 2.8 for Sprout, 2.9 for Buffer. I can't find one here for Agorapulse. I see percentage increases. 3.2 for Hootsuite and 0 for this. So of who we found so far, Sprout seems to have like the still wrong, but closest. So the least wrong.
Yeah, we have no Price is Right winners here, unfortunately.
No.
Well, and so it's interesting. So I've been keeping score, very lightly, and the features that we care about the most, like, so in terms of like just, back of the envelope scoring, Sprout has the highest score of things. But when I look at the individual scores, they don't have, at least immediately, the bulk uploading that we would need. We need to make sure, like, we would need to go deeper into our own requirements before, switching tools. Like, we need to make sure that they cover the actual platforms that we care about. We don't care about Facebook. We don't care about, I don't know, whatever else is in there. But like, we care about certain things. Like, so we need to make sure that's all set. We need to make sure that, it actually has the correct type of reporting that we for Trust Insights would need. Yes, it has the global pause. Yes, it has reporting, but is that reporting that we care about? And so, for the purposes of this episode, we wanted to show at a high level, but for the purposes of Trust Insights, there's not a clear winner.
Yeah, I think more than anything, this what we're showing is the process for how you go about evaluating these tools. You can't just put it in an RFP and wait for responses, right? You've got to got to roll up your sleeves and dig in, because you're right. If we go back here and just look as a simple sampling of what profiles are available, like you see TikTok, Google My Business, Google Play, Apple App Store. This is Sprout. In Buffer, you see LinkedIn, Shopify, Mastodon is in there. In Agora Pulse, let's see, where's that? Add social profiles. So we have, TikTok, Google Business, etc. In Hootsuite, we have. Where are my settings for that? Who knows? Wait.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So Hootsuite has just these, and then in Sprinkler we have Yelp and Trustpilot and stuff. So there's different networks. So yeah, even something as simple as which networks are going to matter. Hootsuite seems to have the fewest options available, and Sprout and Sprinkler seem to have the most options available.
Yeah, that's interesting, because I like seeing TripAdvisor in there. If you were to travel, you would have to have TripAdvisor. That's, so it's interesting how, one feature like that can actually just make the decision for you.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And if you're doing reviews, a lot of review stuff, having Trustpilot, being part of the review service would be really important. So yeah, it depends. Shopify, if you're doing e-commerce, you have to have an integration to your e-commerce store.
It is interesting that Mastodon's in here too. That's not, Buffer's the only one that has that listed.
Yep, exactly. Glassdoor is in Sprout. So if you care about the savage reviews that your employees are leaving you.
Right. Well, and that was a whole area we didn't dive into too, of the queue management. The whole idea, like, okay, so you're posting, but what about on the other side as far as listening and replying to stuff? I mean, that's where you can really get barbecued if you're not paying any attention to what gets said. And
exactly.
Queue management is a whole nother thing.
So that's the bake off, as it were. We don't have a clear winner because obviously we need to do a better job with our requirements, but we are pretty clearly, there's a lot of different features to judge on. There's a lot of, even something like, the Google Analytics integration, some of these tools, we have to ask, like, did you update for GA4, or is this still using Universal Analytics, right? That, even something as simple as that would be could be a showstopper.
Yeah, so I think our next step is to really think through, what do we need from a social scheduling tool? What do we want from our social media strategy overall? Because we don't really have a social media strategy, if we're being honest. We post some stuff to social, we use it as an awareness, but that's not a strategy. And so we would want to go back and say, what is our strategy for social? And then from there, we can start to drill down into our own requirements, figure out things like, how easy to use does it need to be, or can we develop a process because it hits all the other marks? And so that's our next step.
Exactly. Any final words, John?
No. The other thing that hits me though is the switching cost thing. You review all these and every team hits a point where they're just like, well, none of them are that much better. Let's just stick with what we know. The friction of lock-in is real and
Mhm.
something you want to use to your advantage if you can.
Yeah. And
Exactly.
what about you, Chris? I mean, we didn't even get into how these tools are starting to integrate with generative AI. Um, what are your thoughts?
Well, first, every tool should be thinking about that. If they don't currently offer it, I would say in 3 months' time, if we were to redo this bake-off, and that would be a core fundamental feature that I think every tool should have. And if they don't, then they've missed the boat. And I think that's a good sort of canary in the coal mine warning. Like, yeah, this company's not innovative. They're not pushing the envelope if they don't at least offer something.
Mhm.
Even if it's as simple as, hey, we connected this to OpenAI's API and it's just going to create, crazy garbage. At least you tried, right? You get the little "I tried" star.
Well, if you can, I know we're wrapping up, but if you can pull up your screen again, Chris. I believe in Hootsuite, if I'm remembering, uh, they have a inspiration. Um,
Mm.
and
Yes,
so
Only Writer AI.
so that might be their own version that they're, working on. But there's definitely some potential here. You have 300 tokens left. But having these kinds of content generation systems built into the tools is going to be definitely a game changer, because why would you want to have to go to multiple tools if you can do it all right in one place?
Yep, exactly. So, those are all things that you'd want to see in any of these products. Is how much are you extra stuff can you integrate? And let's see, publishing, create. Let's see if Buffer's got anything here. Content ideas, generate ideas. Yeah, so they've got some kind of a generator there. So yeah, there's a lot of different opportunities, and again, that goes into our requirements gathering.
Mm-hmm.
Well, all right, I think it's time to go eat some birthday cake.
I wholeheartedly agree. I'm going to go do that now.
We'll see you all next time. Thanks for watching today. Be sure to subscribe to our show wherever you're watching it. For more resources and to learn more, check out the Trust Insights podcast at trustinsights.ai/TI podcast and our weekly email newsletter at trustinsights.ai/newsletter. Got questions about what you saw in today's episode? Join our free Analytics for Marketers Slack group at trustinsights.ai/analytics for marketers. See you next time.